They won one championship, not 4 or 5. Like the way that the 2008 Celtics team talks, they talk like they the Patriots. Have you seen the team get more mileage out of one championship?
That's true.
In which a team went
whole
to 7
book. A whole book.
No, I got one worse for y'all. That team went 7 games in the first round with the 37-win Atlanta Hawks, and we out here acting like they the 96 Bulls. Have some standards, Boston Celtics. I know y'all have only won one championship since 1986, but we act like y'all are the greatest team in the history of, integration and everything else, when clearly that ain't the case. That's a whole nother situation that I don't even want to get into, considering I'm talking to 2 Boston dudes, how the Celtics wind up getting all this real estate. I mean, you lived there for a period.
Boston dude.
You lived there for a period.
Because I worked there. I met my wife there. I'm from New Orleans.
I represent it.
I'm as much of a Boston dude as you are a Chicago dude, Vinny. Okay? How's that?
No, that don't work. That don't work. How long did you work in Chicago?
Yes, it does.
How long did you work in Chicago, Vinny?
About 4 years.
And where do you live right now?
Not in Chicago.
Well, where did you just move from?
New York City.
You were just in Chicago recently. See, I'm about to cuss you out. Point being, when you came on, first thing you said was, "What up, though?" Because you still Detroit, no matter where you move.
Always.
Yeah, exactly. I'm New Orleans. I just work here and I lay my head here.
I just work
He's
here.
Akron, Ohio.
I just work here.
Yeah, he's Akron, Ohio. But let's get to the present then.
He's writing books on the Patriots and all of that other
and
stuff.
The Celtics.
I represent Boston.
Yeah, he's a Boston guy. He's a Boston guy.
Boston guy.
He's a Boston
all the
guy.
way. Lived here longer than any other place.
I was going to say something, but I'm going to save it for the break. I'm going to let you live, Michael.
I know. I know. You got something. But I'm just going to move on because I'm not going to tempt you.
Let's go to the present. A 54-piece from Jayson Tatum yesterday. With every superstar performance by Jayson Tatum, and it feels like we just talked about this, how much more seriously do you find yourself taking the Celtics as championship contenders this year, as at least Eastern Conference championship contenders this year?
They're more party crashers this year than real contenders, in my opinion. Now, this says a lot about Ime Udoka as a head coach. This might say a whole lot about Brad Stevens as a head coach, and not in a good way, considering the way that this team is responding to Ime Udoka challenging these guys, and these guys sort of buying into it, especially after a rough and rocky start, and the consistency with his message. I take more stock in how a team finishes the season compared to how they start. So the way that I felt about Chicago at the start of the season, when you had a defense that was turning guys over and were playing very opportunistic, and then you had 2 frontline scorers who could get their shot up against anybody at any time, that's the way that I feel about Boston now. Now the question is, when the playoffs slow down, because it inevitably does, the question is not just how can you get a good shot, it's also what can you do when your shots aren't falling, because in the 7-game series, inevitably that's going to happen where you're going to have games where you're not going to be shooting 55, 60% from the field as a team or even individuals. And Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown don't get to the line enough for me. They don't manufacture enough good offense when great offense isn't available for me to say, okay, I'll vault you above Milwaukee and Philadelphia, because to me, it's so much more about how do you mitigate your weaknesses more than maximizing your strengths. Now, when the Celtics are maximizing their strengths, they can keep up with virtually anybody because they can switch pretty much anywhere. They can protect the rim. They play smart, and they're starting to share the ball a lot more. The question will be, what happens when your main weapons are firing? How can you sort of construct a decent game plan when things aren't working?
Okay, let's welcome into the conversation Michael from Boston. Let's get him on the phone here.
First time caller, long time listener. Love you guys. Really appreciate your work. Vinny, I appreciate you. Mike, I've been following you for a long time. Hey guys,
so Brooklyn.
That's what I say.
Go ahead.
No,
I'm just gonna say, so Brooklyn is not whole, and I guess we could talk about their potential on paper if we want, Michael. But I know how you feel about Philadelphia. I know you're not sold on Philadelphia.
No, not at all.
Cleveland,
I'm sold.
Great story.
Sold on Milwaukee though.
But maybe not ready. I know you're sold on Milwaukee. So again, same question to you. the more you see the Celtics, and all jokes aside, you're right there, you're seeing them all the time. Are you and even others in New England starting to buy into this team's potential? They've been a tease for a long time in the playoffs, to Vinny's point. Are they buying into the potential of a championship or contending for a championship this year?
Vinny called them a party crasher. I like that. Last week I called them a tough out. I think they qualify as a tough out in the playoffs. So what that means to me is they win their first round series, whoever they play, get to the second round, it's probably going 7. They can lose that series, they can win that series, and then I think the conference finals is about their ceiling, because not only do they, Vinny, good point on Jayson Tatum getting to the line. Now, he certainly believes he should be there every possession. He's always, Jayson Tatum constantly doing this. What? Oh, come on, bro. Can I get it? And one, he hit me on the arm. So he feels like he should be getting more free throw attempts. That's one thing they need, him to get to the line more. But another thing is they need another shooter. They don't, okay, you think in your mind's eye, who's the Celtics' best shooter? It might be Tatum. And he's not really shooting from, I'm talking about for three-point range. A guy you leave open, you go, oh my God, how do we leave this dude wide open from 3? He's gonna kill us. They don't have anybody like that. And I think when playoff basketball starts, they're gonna be exposed. Their lack of consistent outside shooting will expose them. So I don't think they're a championship contender.
Okay. I don't think that's a terrible point. But I also will say this, is that your shooters are streaky. Like, you have guys who can make shots, but not guys you would consider shooters. Like Marcus Smart will pull a game out of his keister where he hits 6 threes, and then he'll go like 0 for 10 the next night, theoretically.
Right.
So you have guys that can make shots. And to me, I don't know if I consider the conference finals a ceiling this year, because you got to tell me that they're going to be better than Philly, Milwaukee, and Miami in a playoff series, and I'm not quite ready to believe that just yet.
All right, so we started this segment off talking about Big Baby, and they talked about the Celtics, so natural segue into the Lakers and LeBron whining on his show, The Shop. For the record, nobody said he's not a scorer, but I love the nuance of NBA conversation.
Yeah.
And I love both of your opinions when it comes to NBA history. Both of you guys are great historians of the game. You're saying, I guess you're answering my question before I even ask it, Vinny. I take it this is not a legit gripe, in your opinion, on the part of LeBron James.
I want to find out who these straw men are, that he keeps setting up these bowling pins and knocking them on down. LeBron, that's almost like one of those things that someone puts on Twitter and says, and y'all say Steph Curry's not a shooter. Who says these things? Nobody says these things. Like, here's my thing on a score. If you're saying, let's get a bucket, all right, cool. That guy is going to get you a bucket. LeBron is the guy that says, let's get us a bucket. He's going to make the play that leads to somebody getting a shot. And sometimes that's him.
That's well put.
But when you're talking about getting a bucket, yeah, that's not scoring average. That's not, you know what I mean? That's not combined scoring in the playoffs in the regular season to create this mythical record that nobody actually ever believed in or thought about until LeBron did it. Like, we're combining all these games played. Considering the fact that the playoffs went to 7 games in the first round in 2003, considering the fact that the playoff expansion didn't exist with 16 teams until 1984, considering the fact that, hey, sometimes you finish off a team quicker than you should, so you're playing fewer games and you don't have to go 7 games, or you don't have to come back
you're sitting
from a
on the
3-1
bench
deficit.
at the end of games.
Or you're playing 3 quarters. A lot of times when I'm not talking about stat accumulation, I'm talking about skill set. I'm saying, look, if I need a bucket, if I'm Michael Jordan, this is the way I put it. If I'm Michael Jordan, he's picking a spot on the floor. He's going there and he's daring you to beat him to it. That spot on the floor could be the rim, it could be the elbow. He's rising above and he's shooting you. Kobe Bryant is the guy that says, I don't have to pick a spot on the floor. I can make a shot from any spot on the floor. He can also miss a shot from any spot on the floor. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar says, I'm putting my big arm out here, throw me the ball, 2 dribbles, shimmy, baseline, sky hook. Those are credible things that we remember from people because that is what they were known for. LeBron is, I'm going to survey the field. I'm going to diagnose the defense, and I'm going to make sure that we get a great shot. Now, sometimes that great shot is me at the rim dunking on you. Sometimes that great shot is him taking a step back. But if you want to be known as more than a scorer, you can't come back on the back end and say, y'all don't treat me like the scorer that I am. Come on, man. We can't be doing this. Kevin Durant might be the greatest scorer of all time, and he averages 27 points a game. Are we saying that someone who averaged more is a better scorer, or can we use some common sense and use our eyes? Basketball conversation has got to get a lot more sophisticated and informative as opposed to being so linear and so damn stupid.
Yeah, I love your Kareem point so much. I remember Kareem once made 2 or 3 seconds left. They go to Kareem. He makes a sky hook from 20 from the corner to win it. And everybody knew it was coming and nobody could block it. That was just his thing. So if you think about players can have their logos based on what their shot is. Not just Jordan and the jump man, but, whether the Iceman and the finger roll or that he finger rolls sometimes from like 12 or 13 feet and flip it up there and it'll go in. Kareem with the hook, Jerry West, everybody's got their signature shot. Look, I think Carmelo said it best, and he was being a lover, not a hater. Carmelo said there are pure scorers, and then there are guys who find a way to put the ball in the hoop. And I think that's what we're talking about. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Is LeBron the best pure scorer I've seen? No. I probably got 5 or 10 guys that I would put over LeBron historically.
You got a lot more guys above him. You've got guys who average 15 points a game who you would say, man, you know what? When he was out there, he put the ball in the hoop, and that's not demeaning him or saying this guy's a better player or anything.
Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, Durant,
I'm just frustrated. I'm frustrated, Michael Smith and Mike Riley. I'm frustrated. I really am, because I feel like we have to, football conversation is so dissectable, and we talk about it in so many ways of reverence, right? In ways of it can't be understood or explained, but we try to explain basketball as black dudes run and jump, when it's a lot more than that. And the people who are contributing heavily to the conversation and trying to say that, it's a lot more to my game than that, but y'all want to include me in this conversation. We all have to get better at this. I'm sorry, y'all. This is near and dear to my heart. This is stupid.
I don't know if it's stupid. First of all, if somebody took the extreme position that LeBron's not a scorer, well, that's stupid. Okay, and nobody would say that. Right. So maybe I missed it. I don't think that LeBron was talking about somebody saying that he can't score. I think LeBron was saying, I don't get enough credit for my scoring. And the reason for that is everything you just laid out, Vinny, is that as great a scorer as he is, it's probably not the thing he does best, which is saying something. He's one of the best passers in NBA history. So something is naturally going to be underrated. He may be the best all-around player in NBA history. So if something is underrated by comparison, it's because his passing is so high. His basketball IQ is so high.
I'll take you a step further. When you think of Larry Bird, what do you think of?
Shoot. You think of his shooting.
Right. No, he got it. No,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah. But he was an incredible passer.
But here's my point. Larry Bird at his best statistically measures right up there with LeBron in everything. Yes. When you're talking about LeBron's prime and Larry Bird's prime, that's the comparison.
Baddest
in my
man
opinion.
On the planet in the 80s. Yeah.
Exactly. That's the comparison to me from LeBron. It's not Michael Jordan. It's not even Magic Johnson. It's Larry Bird. But we don't say, man, Larry Bird couldn't score. No, Larry Bird could score, and sometimes he did it with his left hand.
But again, it's not the couldn't. Wait, but it's not the couldn't. You're saying could or could. There's so much more nuance here. It's not that absolute. But even the Kareem point, Kareem may have had one of the most unstoppable shots in NBA history. But when we talk about scorers, that has a mythical type, reverence about it. Kareem's name doesn't come up. Kareem's
right. Because it's shooters. Because we're thinking about shooters.
That's exactly
and not
right.
Scores.
Thank you. It's Durant. It's Kobe. It's Jordan. It's West. It's Baylor. It's usually perimeter guys. Steph, big guys. burly guys. Shaq doesn't get credit for being a scorer. And this is where I think LeBron does have a legitimate gripe. I think LeBron's physical gifts rob him of any kind of credit he gets for creativity. One of the things I think is incredible about LeBron James is once upon a time the book was make him shoot from the outside. Not a dude shooting from 30 feet at will. Like, he has evolved and adapted his game, unlike a lot of players in NBA history. His old man game has kept up with these young boys something serious. And so LeBron does not get the credit for his footwork. He does not get the credit that he probably thinks he deserves and that he maybe does deserve for his array of moves in the post. Mid post, high post, low post, wherever you want to go. People look at LeBron and they think, oh, it's transition, it's a runaway freight train, it's coming downhill, it's bullying people, it's bodying people. Whereas the Kobes, the Jordans, the Durants, they get mellow even in his heyday. Oh, he's just a better scorer. You don't score as many points as LeBron has scored without having some array and versatility to your offensive repertoire.
Those are all great points about LeBron. But the one thing I'll add to that, I love the footwork point and how he's really elevated his game from the outside. Free throw shooting could still improve, though. And maybe that's another reason.
Yeah.
He could score even more. Imagine if he were like a career 80% shooter from the line, which he's not. If he were, he'd be the number one scorer right now. But another thing he doesn't get enough credit for is his conditioning. We talk about how big he is and what a freak he is and how strong and how fast, but he's always in shape. He's got incredible stamina, even at this age. And there are a lot of people in this league who are, 5 to 8 years younger than he is that don't have the conditioning game that he has.
No, here's another part of being a scorer. Michael Smith, you touched on it when you talked about his free throw shooting. The thing is, when you talk about scores, it's not just getting a bucket. It's putting so much pressure on the defense that they got to foul you and send you to the line. But to get to the line, that means you have to be unafraid of making free throws. Not saying that LeBron is afraid of making free throws, but he'd rather go to that step back. And secondly, here's why I would give LeBron the most credit out of anybody. He adapts to the way that the game is being played quicker and faster than anybody, because the league that he came into in 2003 was not the league that league that he was ruling in 2009 when he was at his physical peak, was not the league that he was ruling in 2016 when he took down the Warriors, which is not the league that he's playing in right now, where, mind you guys, he's leading the league in shot attempts. You're usually going to be called a scorer if you're leading the league in shot attempts. That means you have an appetite to score.
He has an appetite for it, but again, he is a pass-first guy or a right play-first guy. Whatever the right basketball player is, he's going to make it almost to a fault. That doesn't help with a scoring reputation as it relates to others who are like, give me the ball and get out the way. I don't care what the situation is. The other part of it is people have reduced his scoring to just being, oh, you're just bigger and stronger than everybody else. You know who else's name does not come up when we talk about scorers? Wilt freaking Chamberlain. People say, greatest scorers in NBA history. Ain't nobody saying Wilt Chamberlain because he was Wilt the Stilt and he was just big dipping and dunking on people.
No, they might say greatest scorer. They won't say greatest. They may say greatest scorer. They won't say greatest shooter.
And even in greatest scorer, it's like, how do you define scorer? It's like, again, this is where the nuance comes in. Scorer, not score the most points, but stylistically and aesthetically, do you fit a certain profile of having this perimeter-oriented repertoire, like a Kevin Durant, like a Kobe Bryant, like a Michael Jordan, those guys that did it off the dribble, those guys that did it, driving to the basket versus just out-muscling people. Those people that tend not to get credit for the skill associated with scoring the way perimeter guys do, Vinny.
And here's the other part of it. And we as a media are all guilty of this. We are a people of first impressions. So the way that you come into the league as a pass-first guy and later on through your early stage of your career as the guy who didn't want to take the big shot, not necessarily being afraid of it, but he wouldn't force the issue. He was very set on making the right play. He would tell everybody he was making the right play, and he did. But also, a lot of times, we wanted the stars to be the stars and take on the responsibility of taking a bad shot and making it, or just having whatever that is, that archetype of living up to that, and he didn't do that. And because, once again, people of first impressions, we are people of confirmation bias. We throw everything else out once we create that image of you, once we create that skeleton of you, we keep all the good stuff that compromises, anything else, and we throw out the rest. You know what I mean? And LeBron has done a great job of evolving his. I don't think he has the greatest footwork in the post. I think it has improved, and I do
not
think
the greatest, but it's really good. Yeah.
I think it complements. I think it complements his strength. I think it complements like the gifts that he has, the skill that he has complements the gifts that he has, and that's how you wind up being, a top 3, top 2 player of all time. And there's no shame in that.
And we gotta thank Vinny. We gotta thank your hometown. We gotta thank Detroit, Michigan, for helping LeBron get over that mental block of not taking it on, because those 25 straight points against the Pit, he brought the bad boys down. The second bad boy.
That wasn't. Hold on. Michael Holley.
Version 2.
Why?
The reincarnation.
Michael Holley
brought him down.
You couldn't just stop while you was ahead.
Rasheed,
Vinny, don't.
Sean
Vinny,
C.
we don't have time.
Rip.
Don't do it,
He
Vinny.
ended that.
Don't do it, Vinny.
He ended
Was
it.
Ben Wallace on that team? Was Ben Wallace on that team?
Vinny.
Ben
He
Wallace
wasn't there.
too.
He was gone.
Ben
That
Wallace
lane
was
was a
gone?
highway. That lane was a highway, and that's why LeBron was
Rasheed was
dunking.
there,
I'm
though.
not saying it wouldn't have happened.
Rasheed
It
was
was
still
old
there.
Sheet. I'm not going to get dragged
Vinny,
down
don't
to
do
your
it.
level,
No,
Michael.
don't do it. Yeah, don't. I don't have time. We don't have time.
Tayshaun
We don't
Prince
have
was
time.
there.
We don't have
Tayshaun
time.
Prince was
Vinny,
there.
before we let you go, we have one conversation that LeBron is not in this season is the MVP conversation, despite his numbers and despite what he's doing to keep this team afloat. Mm-hmm. So I ask you real quick, after what you saw Nikola Jokic do last night, hate to ride his roller coaster, but 46 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, 4 blocks and 3 steals, 30 points in the fourth quarter in overtime against the Pelicans. If I put a hypothetical, proverbial, imaginary gun to your head right now and say, who's the MVP right now? Who you got?
You might have to shoot me. So I don't know if I got one.
That's a great answer. That's a perfect answer. That's a perfect answer.
Sunday afternoon, or Friday, I'm like, well, this is Giannis's award. And then 2 days earlier, I'm like, man, this is Joel Embiid's award. And then a couple of days later, Jokic does this. And I went on Twitter and said the Western Conference first round might be tough. And I said Denver has the MVP. And people went at me and said, no, Jokic is not the MVP this year. It's such and such. And I'm like, wait a minute. Do y'all know the precedent that usually when a guy wins MVP and comes back better the next season, it's kind of hard to deny that dude. And we can't say that he's not doing everything at a statistically high level, at an aesthetically high level, keeping his team afloat. That team is a who's who of who this dude. And yet they are still afloat in the Western Conference. And to me, this almost feels like Steve Nash's second MVP in 2006 after that first MVP in 05, where you were like, Steve Nash lost to Maury Stoudemire, and they still wound up staying afloat and winning 54 games after winning 62 the year before because Steve Nash raised his level of play. That sounds eerily similar to what Jokic is doing, and just because he's white and because he's playing in Denver, I guess we don't want to give him his props, but he finished first on my ballot last year, and he might finish the exact same place this time.
Michael, I said a couple of weeks ago to you that you'd be an idiot, not you, but you'd be an idiot not to give Jokic the MVP again, and you said I was crazy. And I feel really good about that take today. I know that much.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, there might be a lot of idiots out there because he may not get it. I don't get the feeling that he's the leading candidate.
No, but there is no leading candidate right now. Like this.
Remember, I shot Vinny. Remember? I shot Vinny. Remember?
Yeah, you shot. That's Vinny.
Yeah, I shot him because there's no leading candidate.
There's some guys with that fictional imaginary gun to their head, some guys give you an answer. Vinny is just like, go ahead and shoot me. Some guys just spit out an answer.
You want me to?
By the way, Vinny.
Here's the thing: the guy who came on y'all's airwaves and gave you the famous phrase "butterface." Like I'm not going to sit up here and not do good TV. I'm going to stick to. I'm gonna be completely truthful about how I feel.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.